Coming up next on the Jeff Crilley Show, we'll be talking about multifamily investing with a national thought leader. That's just ahead.
Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network.
We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios.
Well, the media spends a lot of time talking about single-family homes. Every month we see the home sales, the pending home construction, all those numbers come out. What we don't hear a lot about is multifamily, and specifically multifamily investing. To talk about that, a national thought leader, Jorge Abreu. He is the founder and CEO of Elevate Commercial Investment Group. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you, Jeff. I'm excited.
Yeah. Okay, so I want to hear your journey because it didn't start with multifamily.
It did not. It did not. Actually started with single family. That was about 15 years ago. I was, at that time, an engineer, but I knew I didn't want to be an engineer. And then I found real estate investing, and I loved it. So did a couple deals in single family, enough to where I ended up quitting my W-2. That was where the journey started. And then kind of throughout the years, worked my way up to what we do now, which is large apartments, 100 plus units. And we also do some ground up development as well.
Well, he breezed over a little part of that story because he started his company in the mid-2000s, and then by 2008, 2009, we're into the Great Recession. What was that like?
You know, we escaped, I feel like, because we were not holding on to a lot of properties. We really focused on fix and flips and wholesaling properties. So when that hit, which it hit really hard in South Florida, which is where I originally am from and where I started investing in, we then looked at different markets at that time. That was around 2007, 2008. And we found Dallas, and we loved it. You know, it was very stable compared to what was happening in South Florida and also on the West Coast. So we came here 2008. We kind of adjusted what we were doing in the market, and we began to hold on to more properties at that point. That's when we started doing some smaller multifamily deals. And then as the market heated back up, we ended up selling those because I actually did not enjoy managing them. So when you don't have these 100 plus units like I talked about, it becomes very hands-on to manage those properties. Like you've got to go collect the rent, you know, and that's not, I don't enjoy doing that. So I then went back into the single family and the fix and flips and what we were doing before. We were pretty successful with that, and I was able to scale it, and that's when I started my construction company as well. I brought that in-house because we had some issues with contractors and just, you know, being able to do large quantities. I felt in-house was going to be the way. So we were able to do maybe about 50 fix and flips per year, and then still a ton of wholesale deals as well, which a wholesale is where literally you're just flipping the contract in a sense. Mm-hmm. And then I started getting a little burned out because it's very transactional. You know, it's from one deal to the next. Since we're not holding on to these, we're not really building that long-term wealth. And then I got introduced to multifamily syndications, which before I was introduced to that structure of purchasing multifamily, I thought the individual had to come in with these millions of dollars to buy these apartments. Well, you know, little did I know that you can actually get some of those funds from investors, you know, have them partner with you and then take down these apartments. So as soon as I learned that and I really started digging into it and getting educated, because it's a whole different ball game when you're single family versus multi, because you're buying essentially you're buying a business when you buy a multifamily apartment. It's, you know, you really got to know the financials. And so once I got caught up on that end, I decided to 100% focus on multifamily. I stopped looking at anything that was single family. You know, leads kept coming my way and I was just pushing them to the side. And that was about 4 years ago. So, you know, I've been going hard on the multifamily for about 4 years. We've been able to, actually we're closing a deal today. Before I walked in here, we're still going back and forth with the closing, but that's going to put us at about almost 3,300 units.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And
this truly is the American dream that he's living in. And something that I should brag about is George loves to share the gold. I urge you to follow him on social media because he's always posting interesting things. In fact, we found a great video. Let's go ahead and roll that now.
Hey everyone, so we're here at a multifamily property we just acquired on Friday here in Augusta, Georgia. So we're in the process of, you know, taking over and, you know, seeing what we've got on our hands. Obviously, we've done our inspections beforehand, due diligence. Actually came a couple days before closing, inspected the units again. And now it's time to actually get to work, right? And execute on the business plan. So I've got my construction team here. Got my partner Winston here, and then our third-party property management company. We definitely got our work cut out for us. So this is what I was talking about as far as pool-wise. This is going to be an awesome project. Can't wait for some before and afters, but we're not sure if we're going to keep this kiddie pool. I guess is what you would call that. We may fill this one in. Just depends. But definitely gonna fix this guy up. Just needs a cleaning. Just kidding.
I love it. And I love the fact that you're walking around with the camera. It had a little Blair Witch feel to it. so tell me why you post the videos.
you know, I noticed, so somebody told me early on, I didn't used to like social media, even, you know, for family and friends. I was so busy working and I felt like it was a distraction. But then I actually saw Gary Vee live at an event, and it really hit me, you know, how he kind of said, look, don't look at it in that fashion. It's business. This is where business is going. Content is king. And it really resonated with me. And literally after that event, I started implementing it right away. And somebody else told me, one of my actually partners in multifamily, in one of the first few deals that we did, you know, he told me, just document what you're doing. It's like, you'll be surprised how many people, you know, you might think it's easy, but they don't know that, you know, they don't think it's easy. They don't know it the way you do. So just document what you're doing day in and day out. And that's what I started doing, and it worked. I mean, people loved it. You said the whole Blair Witch thing. I noticed the more raw, the more they liked it. And
yeah.
So yeah.
No, it's great. It's great. And he's also a contributor to Forbes. We're going to put up an article on the screen. So you're constantly educating people. Do you find that rewarding when somebody comes to you and says, hey, I read your article or I watched your video?
That was a huge surprise to me, right? I wasn't expecting that. I was doing this for other reasons, but then I get that all the time now. And it's a great feeling, you know, when somebody tells you, you know, you motivate me to take it further. It's just awesome.
So you also told me before we went on the air that banks really love multifamily. Now, why do they love multifamily as a great loan?
Yeah, I mean, one is, look, we have downturns in the market, right? That's historically, it's going to happen. The real estate markets go up and then they come down some and then they go back up, right? Multifamily, the sector of real estate, multifamily has performed, if not the best, one of the best through every downturn. So a bank knows that, and they see it more as a business, like I said earlier. So it's not, they're not going to have to take all these properties back. I want to say during the Great Recession, 4% is what they took back on multifamily. If you compare that to single family, I don't know that number, but I know it's a lot larger.
Sure, sure. Well, I know there's a lot of people watching right now who are saying, could I do this? Could I stick my toe in the water? But something that George told me before we went on the air is that in that first year, there's a large amount of depreciation, and that can really help the investor.
Yeah, so I mean, a ton of our investors are, some of them are high net worth individuals, some of them, own their own business, and they're making a decent amount of money every year, but they're also paying taxes on a good amount of money every year. With a multifamily property, you can depreciate a good portion of it in year one. It's called bonus depreciation. And we do this on every single property we acquire. And usually it's dollar for dollar. So meaning, let's say you invest $100,000 in one of our deals. That first year, we're going to give you a K1 with negative $100,000 that you can, depending on how you do your taxes, you can put that towards your earnings.
Wow. Yeah, I think you got a lot of people's attention just now. You also have mastermind groups. You have one coming up in September. We're going to put that on the screen. Tell us more about what happens at a one-day mastermind.
Yeah, so I think, look, masterminds are great. These events where you have individuals kind of speaking the entire event, and it's usually the information you get at those is very general, right? And they don't go very deep into some topics. So we noticed that when you do a mastermind and you just get a ton of people in the same industry and talking and going over certain topics, that's where you're able to really dig in deep and find those bottlenecks you might have or things that can really take you to the next level.
So I know there's a lot of millennials watching who are in Bitcoin or chasing the next meme stock. Would it make sense for a millennial to investigate multifamily?
It definitely would. Look, I mean, there's obviously been a lot of money made in cryptocurrency, and there's a lot of just noise in general out there. But in multifamily real estate, it's consistent. It's going to be there. It's not like Bitcoin that may drop $30,000 in a month or two. Right. So it's to me, it's a safer bet. I can't say it's a safe investment, but historically, it has done very, very well.
Outstanding. Well, we only have about a minute left, so final thoughts. And if you want to look into the camera on the right, that's your audience. What would you like to say to the person who's nervous? I mean, they like what they're hearing, but they're still, gosh, I don't know anything about this. It sounds risky. What do you say to that person?
I say, look, there's a ton of information out there. There's a ton of videos from different deal sponsors. Deal sponsor is basically the investor that's running the deal, and they're the ones that's going to determine how good that investment turns out. There's good deal sponsors, and there's some that aren't that good. So definitely do your homework. Ask for referrals and really dig in deep. But if you do find somebody that's credible, give it a shot. I mean, you'll be surprised on not only just the returns, but also the tax savings like I talked about.
Outstanding. George, you've been a great guest. We're going to end by putting up the website. It's elevatecig.com. Jorge Abreu, thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you.
You bet. That's it for now. We'll see you next time.